Blue Lock Chapter 245 has now been translated, and we can finally see everything that went down in this chapter. The chapter continues showing us the Munchen vs Uber's game, with Uber's currently up 2-1. We see Augie with the ball landing on him, while PXG flexes his firepower at the same time. In another part of Blue Lock, Ubers and Munchen City exchange blows as chaos emanates from the two battlegrounds, who will become the game's protagonist and score the game-winning goal. We see Chris Prince tell Augie to pass the ball to Nagi, and Augie is frustrated that he has to do this. He ends up passing the ball anyway, and Nagi gets the ball, trapping it. We then see Nico and Ryu, with Nico saying "here it comes" and Ryu saying "activate anti-genius defense." Nagi continues to run with the ball, saying "try and stop me," and he gets past both of them, but is met with Lorenzo. Lorenzo tells Nagi, "too bad, you're not the only one who's special, okay?" It looks like Uber's taunting is starting to work against Munchen and especially Nagi, as Nagi hesitates when Lorenzo says that. We then see Ryo come up to tell Nagi to shoot and to not hesitate. He wants him to just focus on the goal. He eventually does shoot, but with Lorenzo on him, and he gets blocked by Aiku. Aiku says that his shot was too slow, and is that really all that he has? He then says, "what happened to that passion when you faced Asagi?" Lorenzo says, "nice Aiku, that block just now is worth 80 million, and Nagi says, "damn it." We see Baro then charge in with the ball as Ryo notices. Baro says, "out of my way, losers, the last goal is mine." He gets past two Munchen defenders, then passes the ball out of the way for Ryo to not get it. He calls this movement the Tyrant Charge, and Nico receives the ball. Nico then says "cutting edge design" and passes the ball back to Baro. We see Baro have Predator Eye and goes for the goal 1-on-1 with the goalie, but when he shoots, the ball gets blocked by Shigiri. Baro is shocked and says "princess." Shigiri, unfazed, says "meow." We see Sendo come in from out of nowhere and score the ball for Ubers. Baro says "goddamn hyena" and Shigiri says "seriously?" whereas Aiku is hyping up Sendo. With that goal, match 8 of the Neo Egoist League is now over, and Uber defeats Munchen 3-1. Augie still looks completely lost on the field, and even Ryo is stunned. Augie comes up to Ryo and says, "as things stand, you two won't be able to level up anymore. The next match is your last chance before you both become insignificant randoms. Break up your partnership, Ryo." Ryo then says, "ah, shut up and leave me alone, you meddling fuzzy-in-law." Way better than the previous translation that we had before. Augie tells Ryo, "you're too codependent. If you wish to become stronger, to grow and evolve into a world-class player, sometimes it's necessary to have the guts to cast aside those precious to you." We then see Nagi come up to Baro saying, "hey King, what is your goal? What drives you to play football so intensely?" Baro says, "huh, isn't it obvious? To become the best player in the world." Nagi then says, "what happens after that?" Baro says he would define an era of football as its king and destroy all those who dare to challenge him for the throne. Nagi says, "I see, you want to become the king of the footballing world, huh?" Baro says, "what's with those half-baked, weak-willed questions all of a sudden?" He tells Nagi that he's not even annoying. What is up with that? Nagi's completely stunned. Baro says it's like Nagi's hunger to become stronger is gone. He can't even feel Nagi's usual pain-in-the-butt competitive fervor anymore. All he sees now is a loser returning to fight because he's lost his edge. Baro tells Nagi to go hit rock bottom, despair, and go die, you wimp. Now that's a pretty edgy statement, and it is the Blue Lock we all know. Baro then says unless he does some soul searching with that half-baked ego, he won't stand a chance on the world stage. We then go back to the PXG vs Barca match, and we see Shidou get the game-winning goal with a headbutt to win the game 3-2 for PXG. We have Munchen in the monitor room watching the match with Raichi saying "whoa Shidou," and Yukimiya laughing as well, as Gagamaro saying "acrobatic diving header." Yori says even though Levinho came on and together with Otoya and Batra helped Barca get 2 goals in the end, it still wasn't enough for PXG. Thanks to Shidou's goal, PXG won. With that, Munchen and PXG are now the only team still undefeated. That means this match against PXG is an all-out battle to determine the champion of the Neo Egoist League. Shidou's acrobatic header helps PXG get a win against the Spanish giants Barca. As the showdown between the two undefeated teams draws even closer, the Egoist blood begins to boil in anticipation. We see Asagi all the way fired up, and he says the stage is set for the best of the best. To be continued in the next chapter, Anomaly and Abnormal. Some things are now made clear, and to think about this since it's been a few days from the leagues. Nagi continues to ask strikers what motivates them to keep going, and what will they do after they complete their goal. Nagi's goal was always to defeat Asagi, and for him to do that, he felt like he needed to be the best player in the world at that time to do so, which he did. Now that he accomplished that goal, he has no more motivation, and even hesitates when shooting. It's like he's shooting with no drive or fuel into him. Rin, Asagi, Baro, they all have the drive of becoming the best in the world. That's what Blue Lock is all about. Training those who have an ego to match to becoming the best striker in the world. Nagi has already said he doesn't see himself that way, so now he needs to figure out what he wants to become if he wants to stay here. Otherwise he could be out of here depending on how he does against Barca. Nagi has some soul searching to do, like what Baro said. He has no more goals and is just here. He doesn't have the passion that it takes to win, and I don't know if he can find it right now in the NEL. Partnering up with Rio might have been a mistake again. Maybe he can't win with him and needs something else. I feel bad for KiiNGKhyy having to put up with this because right now KiiNGKhyy has evolved to a completely new level, but is being brought down due to his team, just like Batra and Barcha. This chapter showed us a lot of what Nagi is doing, and he is completely soulless in the field with hesitations and no drive at all. Rio tells him to just focus on the goal, but I don't think he can score this away. Before, Nagi was always good at scoring because someone gave him the idea and it passed to get him there. He eventually learned his own way of thinking and creativity, but now it's back to his genius-stalled brain with no thinking. Even Uber's made a strategy called anti-genius defense specifically for Nagi. Hopefully he can get a turnaround soon because it's not looking good currently. Another thing here is when Lorenzo said that IQ's block on Nagi in this match is worth 80 million. This sounds a bit far-fetched, but if that is true, that would put IQ at 80 million, which would currently be 4th before this match started. Obviously the top 6 will all level up, but if IQ is at 80 million after this, he would pass Nagi rankings and more than likely be 7th on this list. The new ranking should be shown in the next few chapters and it will look different now. I think Rin stays at number 1 as he scored 1 goal, so he should be at 210 million if each goal counts as 30 million based on what Asagi and Hiyori said. Baro also scored 2 goals, so he should pass Asagi and be at 190 million. I'm not sure yet who scored for Barcha. It makes it seem like Levinho scored both times, but they still brought up Atoya and Batra, so can't really make a judgment on that. But I assume Batra still goes up a bit, and then we have KiiNGKhyy who will be right behind him. The biggest comeback ever should be Shidou. He is currently at 25 million and scored 2 goals, so that should at least put him at 85 million, which is already like 6th place now. He should be right above who do you know, Kunigami, who is at 50 million right now but didn't play this match as Munchen had a break. That will lead to a crazy match to see who takes the top 5. I'm honestly glad Shidou has came back and sparked up his value into his game. It makes you think why PSG is running their system the way they are now. They must have had Rin play most of the Munchen match to then give Shidou the handle for the Barcha match, but I still think both these guys will be playing the full game against Munchen. Shidou has once again proved he can hang with anyone, and it would not be wise to have a guy like this on the bench. Maybe PSG was waiting for Charles to sync with both of them on his own, so that way he can learn to sync them both in the game. We know they were both on the field for the Ubers match, but since have been separated. It must have not worked back then, but could work now with the sudden link up of Charles and both of them. This is now the final stage of 2 Juggernaut teams battling for the throne. It will be quite a match to see, and I wonder who comes out on top. I've been saying all the time now that this match will be one of the best matches in bluelock. The storylines and the duels we will see are going to be amazing. With Shidou's re-emergence now, we have nothing to worry about. If anything, Munchen should be worried after seeing this firepower that PSG holds. They are credible and seem to have no weaknesses. Barcha, however, was still able to put up 2 goals in his team, but Levinho was in the game, so that makes sense. I also wonder if Loki will make an appearance anytime in the NEL. It looks like he's never been in one since the NEL, and he's just assuming his coaching role. He looks very comfortable as well as a master, which is crazy considering he's the same age as everyone else around him. The next chapter should go into detail with Shidou, and if it is a backstory, we can get to see how Shidou became who he is, and he will be very important in the upcoming match. We also still need to find out what PSG's philosophy is. Just how is this team being ran, and what are they striving for? We've seen a lot from them now, but this team still feels like a mystery to be solved. As we get ready for the next game, we also have Munchen vs Barcha, and finally one of these teams will be able to get their first win in the NEL. Right now it seems like Barcha will be the ones to get it for as long as Nagi